folks? I'm the proctor up in this business over here. And today in math class, we got a shocker. Monday plus mock drafted equals Mock Draft Monday. Let's go. What's cool? What is going on, you guys? I hope you're doing amazing. We have a Mock Monday on horizon on the hook. Man, if only I didn't hurt my knee, I'd be doing the Drew Hall right now. I got to give the celebration up to my man Cam Bynum out here. Dude, pulling the Drew Hall, that was crazy. That was the best celebration. Speaking of the MVPs of the week, offensive MVP, I got to shout JT, man. JT was unbelievable. Big runs all day. Travion Henderson, also got to give him a shout. He's an explosive man out there. Oh my gosh. Caleb Williams, I got to give him an honorable mention too. There were some really good ones. I think this week, though, was really about the defense and special teams coming through in a major way. Danielle Hunter, he wins my MVP on the defense. He might win my overall MVP. He was on a different level. Literally, you take out Danielle Hunter, they would not have won that game. So he definitely wins the overall MVP, in my opinion. Tyrese Knight deserves an honorable mention. Great game he had. Dude, that guy, he was hungry. He was like, yo, you bench me, I'm coming in here. Dude, he was unbelievable. Some really good defensive players. Special teams-wise, the Jets, let's go. Isaiah, they had back-to-back kickoff return. They had Nwangu, and then they had Isaiah Wilson. Unbelievable. Literally, it was their offense was special teams in that one. They didn't really get going at all until the end of the fourth quarter, where they finally got Breece Hall running and going on screens and stuff. Justin Fields, I don't know if he even had a pass over 10 yards in the air. There's what's going on, though. We got a mock draft to go through. Let me know your MVPs of the week. Great week. Just finished up all the games, and we're ready to do a mock draft now. I want to talk about some stuff. We got some gnarly topics to talk about today with the NFL. Let's get into the draft business. The order of operations, of course, Brian Dable is now gone. They fired him. They said, here's your pink slip. It's always tough to see. I don't want to get it's not easy, right? When you get fired, it's not an easy thing to go through. So I wish Brian Dable the best, but ultimately, was it time? I think so. And we're going to need to look at this now. What are the Giants going to want to do in the offseason, finding coaching-wise? But let's get to this number one overall pick, the Tennessee Titans, up on the clock. Let's start the draft here. This is also my draft order here, so love it or hate it, that's what I'm bringing. Titans, number one selection. Things are about to get a little saucy, and we're going to trade the number one overall pick with a team that you're not going to expect. This is going to be something totally out of left field. It's going to be the Minnesota Vikings coming up to number one. I'm done. J.J. McCarthy at this point. I keep seeing week in, week out, so many misses. He really is only good with his legs at this point. When he's not running as a pocket passer, he's missing so many throws, just wide open throws, and even some that aren't even under pressure. They're just wide open misses. And his deep overall decision making is not there. It's something where this is probably not going to be very realistic at all. I would just say right now, this is something that I'm seriously looking at for this Minnesota Vikings team. And they're probably thinking to themselves, geez Louise, we had Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold in the building last season. We let them both walk. I'm going to move up. I'm going to give up a second rounder and a first rounder to move up to this pick and force that decision through. And, no, I don't want to trade Cam Ward or nothing like that. But, here we go. There we go. That's why I was like, wait a minute. Why is it doing that? There we go. The forced trade is done. And we are moving up for a quarterback. I'm moving up for maybe the Heisman running quarterback and Fernando Mendoza, the Hoosier, Omar Cooper. What a catch. Is right. Man, Omar Cooper. Unbelievable. Maybe we got to get him in this mock draft, this one rounder. But I think that Mendoza will give them that franchise quarterback that comes in right away and leads this team to the playoffs and beyond. They've got a good football team. They need the quarterback at the helm. Mendoza is that guy that can do that, in my opinion, and get the ball out on time, accurately to your playmakers that you have in Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. Even Jalen Nailor. I mean, Nailor is probably their best wide receiver right now because McCarthy seems to only hit Nailor. Anyway, Mendoza will be a great, great addition for this football team. On to the Browns here at number 2. I am going quarterback here. Gabriel didn't have the worst week, but he's still missing wide open receivers as well. a lot of drops. Judy had another couple of drops as usual this week, so it's not all on Dylan Gabriel. As of this moment, though, I still do not see it, and they're going to be clamoring for a quarterback, and that is what we're going to do here. We're going to go take Ty Simpson from Alabama. I do think there's a really good chance Dante Moore ends up coming back to Oregon from all the rumblings and the rumors and circulation and them saying, you know what, I'm coming back to college next year. It could be a lot of hoopla, but for right now, I don't think that's the right way to say that, hoopla. I'm going to take quarterback Ty Simpson from Alabama. He's had some down moments too. He's not been perfect this season, but I do think he's been really, really good at Alabama. And then we go on to the New Orleans Saints at number 3. Am I taking quarterback? Am I taking the third quarterback off the board? No, I'm not. I'm going with the best player in the draft, Arvell Reese, the machine, the monster, the gulam. He is just unstoppable force, whether it's off the edge, whether it's at linebacker. The Saints could use a little bit of both. So I'm just taking a player that I think is going to help out this organization as much as possible. Tyler Shooks, I will say, I have been somewhat impressed with Tyler Shook. I'm not saying he's the franchise quarterback. However, I do think he is a guy that I would give a full offseason to and let you see what you have with him going into 2027's draft, more or less than picking another quarterback in this draft. I've seen enough, in other words, from Shook to be able to feel confident that, yes, let's put maybe some more weapons around, which we can address maybe around 2 in this case scenario. I did think about receiver here, but I kind of didn't. I just like Arvell Reese. I ran to it because I love Arvell Reese that much. I am going to add as much talent to this roster as possible. On to the Raiders here at number 4, where the Raiders quarterback conversation is in the real discussion and what they want to do. But for me personally, I just think you have to add really good football players to this roster in general. They are lacking in talent. I don't think there's really any rookie quarterback that could come in here and thrive with this football team. So simply put, I'm going to go get a number 2 edge rusher in Ruben Bain to pair along with Max Crosby. Who's the other edge rusher out there besides Max Crosby making plays? Nothing. Now, I will say Adam Butler's been really good for this football team on the interior. He's been kind of a little hammer up there. And he's getting older now, so there's something to think about there. But overall, Ruben Bain gives them another dominant edge rusher, at least your hope is, with Max Crosby. On to number 5, the Brian Daboll-less New York Football G-Men Giants had a tough loss there with Russell Wilson coming in. They had no offense. Just going to show you Jackson Dart. He is legit, man, which is good to see. And that's the one thing to be optimistic about if you're a Giants fan, is the fact that this team without Jackson Dart is a different entity. Completely different football team comparative to when he is in the football game. So with that being said, I'm just going to add the best available talent. Not saying wide receiver is their top need at this point. I think linebacker is a big need for them. Somebody that can get to the perimeter, right? They allow a lot of explosive plays to the perimeter. And that to me is also a display on some of the edge setting ability that they maybe don't have with Burns. And that's fine. Like Burns isn't the edge setter, but he is a dominant pass rusher. They need somebody at linebacker who can go sideline to sideline a little bit more consistently. I'm not going to take Sonny Styles here at number 5, but this would be something that maybe if a team wants to move up in front of the Jets, let's say, right? Maybe the Cardinals would want to move up in front of the Jets. We could trade down a little bit here if they were to go quarterback, which is certainly in the cards here too for something. Let's do it, man, because the Cardinals clearly going to be looking at quarterback this offseason. I do think they're going to re-sign Jacoby Brissett for at least another year, and then they'll try to draft and develop a quarterback. I'm going to pick somebody here, and we're going to move up with the New York Football Giants. They've got their franchise quarterback. Let's go ahead and acquire at least a 3rd-round pick, which is what we're going to do, a 3rd-rounder and a 1st-rounder next year. I think that's fair. And that allows the Giants to recoup a little more draft capital, build around Jackson Dart, while the Cardinals have a good roster. Their defense, slipped up this week. They had some big turnover. The offensive line is something we're going to have to really look at. Like on day 2, a good guard is definitely in play, or even a right. Jonah's been okay. I think that they're going to have to look at a guard for this offseason. And with this, though, I can go ahead and select a quarterback, and we're going to go get maybe the best available, the last first-round quarterback that you can make the argument. If Dante Moore does decide to come out, we're going to select him here from Oregon to be the franchise guy for the Arizona Cardinals going forward. Kyler Murray also would be somebody that you could talk about being traded here. Maybe, that gets interesting. Would Carolina consider a trade like that? Would the Pittsburgh Steelers consider a trade like that? We'll have to talk about that a little bit more here when we get into that. But for right now, very much an interesting conversation, right? But on to the Jets, where special teams was just unbelievable this week. Justin Fields, not good. Not good. I think he did, like, as I said earlier, I don't even know if he had a pass over 10 yards. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head in terms of like in the air. It was that bad. With this pick, though, I am going to be taking Kai Lemon from USC. I'm just going BPA, and I think Makai Lemon is maybe the best wide receiver in this draft. I'm just going to say it right now. I like Makai Lemon a lot. Big fan, and I'm a Jets fan. So, yeah, there's a little bit of that out here. We don't need to force a quarterback. That's the big thing. Not to mention, we've got another first-round pick here at 23. So, I'm not too worried about that. We'll address this roster as we go along. For the Jets, though, we just need to hit on good, talented football players, and I think Makai Lemon's that. On to the Commanders here. They need a wide receiver. They need edge talent, no doubt about it. They really need Dorrance Armstrong back. I'm taking a number one weapon to go along with Scary Terry. I'm going to go, this is tough. It is. You're going to have to get the medicals with Jordan Tyson. But I will go ahead and take Jordan Tyson here from Arizona State. You bring him into this offense. They need some help at wide receiver. Can I emphasize that enough? Let's go ahead and get a reliable target for this football team. On to the Titans here at number 8. We did a lot of trading down and draft capital in for the future. And now I'm going to go in and get your quarterback, Cam Ward, some help. He needs a wide receiver too. You're seeing these wide receivers just fling off the board. There's some good, talented guys. We're going with Carnell Tate, wide receiver from the Ohio State University. Need a much-needed help for Cam Ward in this offense. On to the G-Men, number 9. And what I'm going to do here is improve the offensive line. I know it's a position I go after a lot, but whether he plays right guard or right tackle, depending on Jermaine Illumina, who had a bad week and honestly was just blitz pickups, I don't know what he was doing on a couple of those. He lost at least 2 of them that I saw. He's going to have to work on that. He's still a good offensive tackle. If they re-sign him, then that's fine. Francis Malinois, put him at right guard. They need a right guard. They need a right tackle, depending on what they decide to do in free agency. Malinois onto that offensive line. Sonny Styles would be the other consideration there, too. I really like Sonny Styles. On to the Bengals here at number 10 overall in the Bengals. Oh, boy, where to begin here for the Bengals? I'm going to begin by adding a left tackle of the future because this team needs one. And I'm going to go Caleb Lomu from Utah. I like Lomu better than Fanu at this point. I really do. I like Lomu a lot. I think Fanu is going to be good too. I just think that Fanu is going to have to continue to work on his technique. The overall power is something that I will question at the next level. It's not like it's something he gets overpowered with at college. The next level, though, might be a little bit of a different challenge for him. I just think Lomu, I don't know. I like him. I like him a lot. I really do. And that's nothing against Fanu. He's just going to get compared to Fanu quite a bit. I like Lomu a lot. I really do. I think he can be a top 10 tackle in the NFL. On to the Carolina Panthers. Do we go quarterback? This is another situation where Bryce Young had a really, really rough week. Would there be anybody here that I would say is a guaranteed upgrade at the moment? I love Sorsby. I really do. I like Darian Mensah a lot. Will he come out is the big question. If you tell me Darian Mensah is coming out, I would take him here for the Panthers. Meantime, I'm just going to continue to bolster the pass rush. I think David Bailey's the smartest option at this point to do that. Nick Scorton and Bailey is a great 1-2 punch combination. Scorton had another big week. They just need more help somewhere, I guess, on this defense to have an elite defense and then lean behind Rico Dowdle. On to the Rams. Also, Sam Martin has some good punts. I will say that. So, a good punter. I thought A.J. Cole had a great week, too, at punting-wise. I'm getting on his special teams, man. Patrick Ricard made some unbelievable blocks. Golly. More teams. Can you believe only 11 teams in the NFL have a fullback? Come on. Somebody needs to be watching this. Go watch Patrick Ricard and what he means to the Ravens out there in their run game. On to the Rams here at this pick, and we're going to go ahead and take Spencer Fanu, right tackle. Offensive line in this draft class is a little bit suspect. Let's go get one of those top 3 offensive tackles because I do think afterwards it takes a mighty dip. And we go ahead and go on to the Miami Dolphins here at number 13 overall with the Dolphins. Tua, he looked solid. Jalen Waddle making plays. But this comes down to just continue to improve the roster. I'm not going quarterback here. I just think that they're in a position that is they need to rebuild this football team, continue to rebuild this team, and I'm going to add the best defensive players available. I'm going to take corner because I do think that the cornerback class is a little tougher as you go into like rounds 2, 3, and 4, whereas the safety class, I feel like you can find a good safety still on that point in this class. Comparative to corner might be a little trickier. Let's go Mansour Delane here. On to the Cowboys at number 14 overall, and I am going to just go take Caleb Downs here, who is on the board. I think he's the best player available at this moment. Their defensive line's getting better, of course, now with Quentin Williams coming onto the squad. Can't wait to see what he looks like. But now getting Caleb Downs into that secondary to be that replacement for Donovan Wilson, who's a free agent. Malik Hooker's getting a little bit older now. They could really use a plug-and-play safety. I know it's something Jerry Jones hasn't really valued, and maybe he won't in this draft either, but he likes Buckeyes, it seems like, and he'll be a Buckeye into that defensive back room. Steelers, I'm going quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, let's go. I mean, come on. It's not all on him, too. The wide receivers dropping passes. They obviously had that one that was right through Calvin Austin's hand that kind of just completely ended the game, but there were multiple of them, and receivers not getting on. He's just not trusting Wilson or Al Austin or really anybody at this standpoint. However, quarterback is still something. Like Rodgers is not making enough plays to make defenses respect, and I'm going Brandon Sorsby. The Bearcat, let's go. I love Sorsby so much. I do think that he is a guy that's going to come out this year. I still don't think that Mensa's going to come out. So he's not going to be in this mock draft. As much as I like Darian Mensa, I just think that he's probably going to come back to college next year with that NIL money. And he's just not gotten that much hype in this draft. Maybe he can come start rolling with some hype here soon, and we'll see how things go. And then he'll say, okay, I'll come out because I'm a locked first-round pick, and I can make more money doing it that way. Right now, though, I think he might be just might say to himself, I'm going to make more money in college. On it to the Browns here with this pick. We got a quarterback. We really need a tackle. We need offensive line really, really bad. Is there anybody that I love here? Not really, to be honest with you. So we're not going to go that route. We're not going to force anything. I'm just going to go with a wide receiver to add some talent into this room because that's also a big need for this team. Another area, you know what, actually? Vega Ioni's been really good. We could go, because offensive line is such a big need. Whether it's tackle or interior offensive lineman, I'll just say they need offensive line in general. How about we go Vega Ioni here? Yeah, let's do it. From Penn State, the left guard, who's been fantastic all season long for the Nittany Lions and definitely been a bright spot on their offensive line. He's really powerful, really strong as a pass protector, and that's exactly what they need. Be that replacement for Joe Bitonio. On to the Houston Texans, number 17 overall. Offensive line this week was not bad. I mean, I'll say the Jaguars in general have struggled on their defense. They did not get as much pressure. I thought Trayvon Walker and Armstrong have been their best players for a good chunk of the season. With the Houston Texans, though, here, I will say this. The Houston Texans are an interesting spot and an interesting team where I do think Julian Love starts the conversation for me. I like Woody Marks, but he's just not a consistent bell cow, right? He's a good change of pace guy. He's got that explosiveness and everything. It could be a good receiving element for them down the line. But I think Jeremiah Love completes the room and gives them that more consistent run game that they're really lacking right now. And I get it. You have to off an offensive line to have a consistent run game. Totally get it. But their offensive line has not been actually terrible as of recent, considering the amount of shuffling that they've done. I mean, they had Trent Brown and who else did they have at right guard this week? I mean, they always seem to have somebody new, on their interior on their offensive line in general. But yes, they've been kind of running around with different stuff. Patterson's been playing left guard. Who was playing right guard this week? I remember who it was. Jeez, I'll remember here in a second. But anyway, they've been shuffling things like crazy. Now we go on to the 49ers here at number 18 overall. And the Niners continue to invest in the defensive line. I'm going with Amari Washington from Oregon. He's super high upside guy that has an insane frame, insane explosiveness off the line. Somebody I think Robert Saleh is just going to come in there with his high motor and just get the best out of. I mean, Robert Saleh is one of the best in the business at getting the most out of defensive linemen in general or of his defenses. Amari Washington, let's go. I think that'd be a dream fit. Could be like a DeForest Buckner 2.0 for this team. On to the Denver Broncos here at number 19 overall. The Broncos are a team that, man, Bo Nix, do we have to have that conversation real soon? I don't know. I'm going to be real. That's going to be an interesting conversation. But I am going to continue the play of just investing in their offensive line for the future. I'm going to go grab one of my favorite players in this draft, Parker Brailsford from Crimson Tide. Roll Tide, roll that offensive line, get a little younger, get yourself that center of the future for Bo Nix, hopefully, of course. Bears, 20, Caleb Williams, an honorable mention, as I said earlier, for MVP of the week. He put the team on his back in many ways. And this offense, Zacchaeus has got to hold on to the football. I get it, the conditions were tough, but too many drops. Even at the end there, Caleb Williams, he was open, Zacchaeus, but he's like, you know what? I'm just going to run this thing into the end zone. Screw it. But anyway, Roma Dunze was really good this week. I want to see more of DJ. With this pick at number 20, I am going to take a linebacker. At this value, I think it's way too good to pass up a guy like Sonny Styles. Can be their linebacker one of the future, even though Tremaine Edmonds has been a beast, and I don't know if I'm moving on from him. I think Edwards is somebody they could look to move on from or get somebody in that linebacking room to give him more coverage ability, and that's Sonny Styles. On to the Chargers, San Diego Superchargers, over to the LA Superchargers. Okay, we're ducking and running. I'm taking Peter Woods from Clemson. Yeah, I know. I took Amari Washington over Peter Woods. I'm just saying, Amari Washington. I'd consider it at this point over Peter Woods. But at this point, Peter Woods is a guy that I'm pairing up with Jamari Caldwell, building Tyir Tart. They use 3 down linemen a ton there for the Chargers, for the Bolts. That's a grouping that I like, that combination of 3 that it gives them. And Woods can lean back, be a pass rusher for them too, help them out, certainly. I also like Caleb Banks. I think he'd be an excellent fish for this team as well. On to the Bucs, number 22. Bucs are another interesting team on what you could do. They need more help. It's a team that could use a lot of different spots to go after. Ben Morrison got beat a couple of times in this game, unfortunately. He only got limited snaps, but when he was in there, they kind of took advantage of him. Kyle Williams got that crosser beat on him, and then he got beat on another one, like an off-coverage one. I don't know. We'll see. I still like Ben Morrison a lot. He's still trying to get 100% healthy. I'm going to continue with the linebacker theme here, even though there are some players that are interesting here. They need more production out of their tight ends. Besides Cade Otton, they don't really have a whole ton there. Could they use a guy like Kenyon Sadiq? I actually don't mind that pick. Otton is a free agent. I go with linebacker every week. Maybe they pick up somebody in free agency. Let's go get Kenyon Sadiq. Cornerback's an interesting one, too. They've invested in it, so I still believe in Ben Morrison. That's where I'm at, so it is what it is. Parrish has been good in the slot. Let's get Sadiq in here as another offensive firepower piece for Baker Mayfield and these Bacon Bucks. They need depth, if nothing else, because of the amount. It just goes to show you, you just take the best players available in the draft because injuries strike. And having that depth, if they didn't draft Emeka Egbuka, this team would be crippled to the point where they had no offense. And that's why I say, hey, look, if the best player available is a tight end or a playmaker, then just take another playmaker. I don't have a problem with that. On to the Jets here, number 23. Remember, we got a receiver. We got Mekhi Lemon with that first pick. Quarterback, right? Wrong. I'm not going quarterback. I'm going to improve the defense some more. Why not, right? Let's add some defensive firepower into this room. I'm going to go get Caleb Banks from Florida, the interior defensive lineman, pass rushing specialist guru. It just had the injuries. And you know what? I'm willing to take a chance. I'm ready to take a chance again. I'm sorry, Barry. I really screwed up your song, but I'm ready to go with Caleb Banks onto that defensive line and fire up some pass rush special ability. Eagles, and not to mention the Eagles, I don't want him to get Caleb Banks because I think they might take Caleb Banks at this point. And the Eagles have been notorious to go after the Jets, it seems like, with trades and picking out front of players. So I'm going to go ahead and do that one. But with this pick for the Eagles, I'm going to invest in a edge rusher for the future. Keldrick Falk here would be somebody to watch out for, but I don't know if he fits the scheme per se and what this team's going to want to do. So instead, I'm going to be looking at a guy like Cassius Howell here. I think would be a better scheme fit for this Philadelphia Eagles team for what Vic Fangio wants to do. So that's what we're going to go ahead and slide in Cassius Howell into the room. The Chiefs, this is one that makes sense for Keldrick Falk. Falk slides down. He's probably going to go higher than this in the actual draft, but the production still haven't quite fit the bill. His pass rushing is limited, but he will be an excellent edge setter in a Spagnuolo defense that gives him some more help with George Karlaftis out there, because besides George Karlaftis, Chris Jones, you're not going to have a whole ton of pass rush, consistent pass rush. But Omar Norman, I expect a year 2 jump and everything, so that's why I'm not going interior. I will grab a pass rusher and Falk. On to the Cowboys at number 26 overall. We got Caleb Downs with their first pick. With their second pick, we're going to go get our Jeffrey Simmons guy here in Jamad McCoy from Tennessee, the cornerback extraordinaire. Injury thing is a real question. It's something that a lot of teams are going to have to get answered, whether or not he's going to be 100% and all those sort of things. It really, that's what it's going to come down to. Now that I think about it, I think Howie Roseman would have gone Jermon McCoy. That was probably a bad decision on mine, but I still like Hal a ton. I really do. So Eagles fans, come at me. I get it. I like Hal, and I think they need pass rushers. I think they're going to get a cornerback in free agency because they got 2 young cornerbacks on rookie contracts. It just seems like a lot of times you end up going out free agency, maybe getting somebody there to be that third cornerback would make a lot of sense. In this case scenario, though, yeah, I like Cassius, though. I really do. And that's not, I think he's a great football player. So I'm just kind of checking myself. If I'm doing a little mock on my action over here, I'd be like, why don't you not go Jermon McCoy, right? I mean, I was slipping. I was just thinking, ooh, Cassius Hal. I mean, Al is great, too, as I mentioned. So, we'll rumble with it. Buffalo, I'm going to take a linebacker here. I'm taking C.J. Allen from Georgia. This team could really use that linebacker in for the future. Achane running all over him. They need that stud in there. I mean, they've had injuries with Bernard, and Matt Milano's been injured, obviously, for several past the years and stuff. So finding somebody in there, C.J. Allen's going to be a run-defending extraordinaire that this team really needs. On to the Detroit Lions, and the Lions were roaring with the run game this week. They were dominating that Washington Commanders defensive line. So what are we going to do here? Let's bolster up the secondary some more, maybe. I think Avion Terrell is a really safe pick, a really Lions pick for this football team, somebody that I feel very confident in. And I feel like is also probably the best player available at this point, just looking at the board. It gets interesting if you're looking at offense and stuff, but I really do think he is the best player available at this point. So I'm just going to go with Avion Terrell and not overthink this one. Maybe if we're going to go with crispy packages, get Kid and Proctor out there. He'd be the new Dan Skipper. No, I'm not replacing Dan Skipper, but that would be insane, actually. Oh, yeah, no, I got to go Avion Terrell. Okay, I got to get some cornerback depth with the amount of injuries and stuff they've had. I think Terrell could play inside and out for this team. Ravens, with this pick, I'm going to take a shocker move. I'm going to do something different because everybody goes edge rusher, including myself. Ooh, R. Mason Thomas is an interesting one, but we're not going to go that route. I want to change it up this week. I'm going after another wide receiver. I'm going with Christopher Bell from Louisville. You're going to be like, what? Are you crazy? He's going to be like a big tight end wide receiver option for them that can also block, give him another explosive weapon for Lamar Jackson. Hey, I'm shaking it up this week, okay? I think receiver is not their biggest need, but it is certainly something to keep an eye out on depending on what they do. And Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely both had a couple of drops this week, which was kind of interesting. Rashad Bateman is a good solo like wide receiver 2-3. He's more of a wide receiver 3 at this point, in my opinion. So adding a guy like Chris Bell can be your number 1, number 2 combination with Zay Flowers. On to the Rams this week. They were great. Zafford, as usual, he finally got over 500 percentage in his career. Just goes to show you all those years with the Lions where they couldn't do a whole ton. Now with the Rams, man, it's been a awesome showing. We got ourselves a tackle with their first pick in Spencer Fanu. Let's go get some defensive help now with this second pick. Also, Nate Landman. He is a Muhammad Ali. Let's go. Bringing out the Muhammad Ali. Full on. A big dude is unbelievable. Punching out the football so consistently. Third fumble of the season for Nate Landman. He is a stud. One of my favorite players in the NFL. I say it every week, but he is unbelievable. I love him. I am going to look at cornerback here. Now, I'm going to go with, I would love a little bit more size. I'll be real. I would love a little bit more size, but I'm not going to force anything. I mean, I guess Colton Hood could be an option here too. Gives more of an outside cornerback if you're looking at that. Keith Abney, also really good. Colton Hood, Keith Abney. Very interesting options. I guess we'll go with more of a size profile. Colton Hood can be more of an outside corner. It comes down to what do they want to do with Quentin Lake too, who's a contract year. Let's get Colton Hood from Tennessee. We'll change that up a little bit. I do like Keith Abney a lot. New England Patriots and the Dynasty 2.0 that begins here with New England and Drake May. Drake May, he's been so good. He had another great week. Explosive plays. That deep ball that he has is incredible. That one to Mac Hollins, that little floater up there, that was one of the best throws. Beautiful on the money throw. I'm going to be looking for the Patriots. It's going to be R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. He's been excellent at OU this season. He makes plays, whether it's as strip sacks or turnovers. He has been so good off the edge. Yes, he's undersized. He's not going to have that arm length you want. He just is an explosive jackrabbit off the edge and going to be another guy with Hassan or with Kayvon Chase on. long as they bring him back, of course, which is something. Seattle, they don't have any pass rush issues. Let me just say that. Their defensive line is insane. I wouldn't rule out another pass rusher because they're getting a little bit older. DeMarcus Lawrence, maybe he doesn't come back after the season. He's had 2 touchdowns this week off of 2 Tyrese Knight things. But I'm not going to go linebacker. Knight, he proved himself this week, and maybe he gets a chance to get back into that lineup with Drake Thomas. Ernest Jones was out this week, which is why Tyrese Knight got back out there, and he made the most of it. Reek Woolen was incredible too this week. Maybe they give him a contract extension. I'm going to go guard. I'm going to go back to the offensive line. And Sundell, unfortunately, got injured too this week, which really sucks because he's been pretty dang good. I'm going to go with a guy that I like a lot, and it's Chase Bisontis here. Left guard. You can put him over right guard, hopefully, or you can figure it out. Put Zabel over at right guard. Just get your offensive line right. I'm going Chase Bisontis, though. Just make that offensive line as best as we can. They don't have a whole ton of needs on that roster at the moment. And that's why I could see them. Boyemoff is a free agent, so maybe edge rusher could be something. Mateo Iungale would be the next edge rusher that I would look at this point. So we'll see. We'll continue to monitor that process and everything. Here's our mock draft. Let me know what you think. Agree or disagree. Mock the mock action. The one thing I will say in this mock draft that I would consider is Jamal McCoy to the Eagles over that. If he was on the board at that point, I would really consider it. Maybe even to the Jets, even though I like A.Z. Thomas a lot. He did get injured in this week, and they had to have D. Williams actually starting out there in the slot, and they moved him to the outside. They could possibly use another corner. I do like A.Z., though, a lot. Brandon Stevens, a little rough, maybe. There's certain options to consider when it comes to Jamal McCoy. We're going to have to find out more about the injury and everything, how he's doing in that recovery process, how much testing he does this offseason. So that is really going to conclude it here. You see some of the craziness of the quarterback controversy with the Minnesota Vikings. Skull, by the way. I know that one's going to be a wild one, but I'm being real. I'm being honest. What I see, I watch all the games, and I got my notes down here. I'm ready to go toe-to-toe with anybody, man. I'm ready. Hit me up. Let's do it. Nah, in all funness. I just think that it's an overreaction, but at the same time, from what I've seen so far this year, quarterback is not out of play for the Vikings. This is it, though. This is what we rocked out with. I hope you guys have a really good day, and we'll be back with mock drafts to round 3. And that'll be probably more of a inline mock draft, I guess.